This is the Life by Design with Angela Weiss podcast, episode 49, How to Cheer for Yourself When You're Scared. Welcome back. I'm Angela Weiss, dual board certified nurse practitioner, author, and I am so glad that you've chosen to spend part of your day with me. If you're new here, welcome. This podcast is all about designing a life rooted in faith, mental wellness, intentional living, and becoming the healthiest version of yourself that you can. Mind, body, and spirit. Today I want to talk about something every single one of us experiences, yet few people admit out loud. How do you cheer for yourself when you're scared? Maybe you're thinking about applying for a new job or starting a business or some new venture of some sort, writing a book, going back to school, leaving a relationship that no longer brings you peace, starting therapy, starting a fitness routine, losing the weight, beginning a journey of some kind. Maybe you're trying to become the person you've always dreamed of becoming. You know it's what you want. You know it's what you've prayed about. But instead of excitement, you feel fear. Maybe your heart races or your mind is full of doubt that keeps you awake at night. And you start wondering if you're qualified enough to become the person that you want to be. Are you smart enough? Strong enough? Or whether everyone else is going to think you've completely lost your mind. By the way, who cares what they think? If you've ever felt that way, I want you to hear this today. Fear doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. Sometimes fear is proof that you're finally stepping onto a new path that you should be on. Today we're going to talk about why fear shows up, what it's trying to do, and most importantly, how to become your own greatest encourager when it feels like no one else is clapping yet. One of the biggest misconceptions is that successful people aren't afraid. Oh, they absolutely are. The difference is that they don't let their fear make every decision for them. Our brains are designed to keep us alive. Thousands of years ago, fear protected us from predators. It still does today. However, our brains often react to emotional risk the same way our brains react to physical danger. That means starting a business or speaking in public, going on a first date, taking the first step, posting a video online, or changing careers. They can all trigger the same kind of stress response. Your brain isn't asking, will this make me happier? It's asking, is this familiar? Because familiar feels safe, even if familiar is making you miserable. That's why people sometimes stay in unhealthy relationships or stay in jobs that they hate or never chase the dream that God placed inside their heart. Or they continue living the same year over and over again. Groundhog's Day. Not because they don't want something different, but because different feels scary. Confidence doesn't come before courage. We often think that we'll just do it when we feel confident. And the truth is that confidence rarely comes first. Confidence grows because you're willing to try. Think about learning to drive. Remember how nervous you were? You probably drive while listening to music now, carrying on conversations, and hardly think about every little movement. You didn't start out learning to drive feeling confident. You had to get confident once you started learning to drive. Confidence came after the experience. And the same is true for every dream. Nobody writes the first book perfectly. I know I didn't. Nobody records their first podcast perfectly. I'm still not getting it right. Nobody starts a business knowing everything. There's me. Nobody walks into the gym on day one feeling like they belong. Me again. Confidence is built one imperfect step at a time. If you're waiting until you aren't scared anymore, you might wait forever. You've got to stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. Because so many of us spend years hoping someone else notices our effort, and maybe they don't. We want encouragement and validation, recognition and approval. We want someone to say, I'm so proud of you. And those words are wonderful if and when they come. but they can't be the foundation of your confidence because sometimes they never come. Sometimes the people closest to you won't understand your vision at all. Sometimes they'll question you or discourage what you're trying to do. And if your motivation depends on entirely someone else's applause, you will stop the moment they stop clapping. And there comes a point where you have to look in the mirror and become your own encourager, telling yourself, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of you. You kept going. You showed up. You didn't quit. You did hard things. You did things that other people wouldn't do or don't understand. That's not arrogance. It's emotional maturity. You have to celebrate the small wins in life. We have this habit of only celebrating giant milestones, losing 50 pounds, following through with whatever it was we started, paying off all the debt or building the business or finding the relationship or taking the long journey. That's not where life actually happens. Life happens in ordinary Tuesday mornings. It's choosing the healthier option for breakfast. It's going for the 5-minute walk even though you can't go for an hour. It's saying no to something when you used to say yes. It's praying instead of panicking, using gratitude instead of doubtfulness. It's making one difficult phone call and setting one healthy boundary. Those moments matter. Tiny victories become big transformations. The people we admire didn't become successful because of one enormous decision that went right the first time. They became successful because they made hundreds of small, consistent, faithful decisions that no one ever saw them make. Don't overlook today's victory just because it doesn't look dramatic. And you got to be careful how you speak to yourself. Can I ask you a question? If your best friend came and said to you, I'm scared, would you tell them, you're probably going to fail? You're not good enough. People are going to laugh at you. You're crazy. Why would you even try? I'm hoping the answer is, of course not. Because if it's not, you might want to rethink your friend group. Normally, you would encourage them. Remind them of how capable they are. Remind them of what they've overcome before. Yet, so many of us speak to ourselves in ways we'd never speak to another human being. Hopefully. And you have to pay attention to your internal dialogue. This week, instead of saying, I can't do this, try saying, I've never done this before, but I can learn. Or, I've never done this before, but I might. Instead of saying, I'm not ready, say, I'll become ready by doing. Instead of, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what if this changes my life in a really good way? Instead of, I'm scared, say, I'm scared, but I'm going anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. I haven't made it yet. Yet is the key word. The words that you repeat become the beliefs that you build. You have to choose them wisely. Remember what you've already survived in life. When fear starts getting loud, and it always does, I want you to pause for a moment. Instead of looking at everything that could go wrong, look behind you at everything you've already made it through. You've survived heartbreak. You've survived loss. You've survived disappointment. You've survived grief. You've survived mistakes. You've survived uncertainty. You've survived days you never thought you'd make it through. Yet here you are. You're still standing. You're still learning. You're still growing. You're still hoping. You're still living. Sometimes we give fear too much credit and ourselves too little. Fear wants you to believe that you're too weak for what's ahead. But your past, it tells a different story. Your past says you've done hard things before. Your past says you've adapted. Your past says you've healed. Your past says you've gotten back up every single time life knocked you down. Don't forget that. You're not beginning this new chapter with nothing. You're beginning with resilience. You're beginning with wisdom. You're beginning with experience. And that is a very powerful place to start. You don't need to see the whole staircase, the whole road, before you take the first steps. One of the reasons we become overwhelmed is because we try to figure out every step before taking the first one. We want certainty and guarantees. We want to know exactly how everything is going to work out before we do it. But that is not how life works. It's never worked that way. Honestly, that's not how faith works either. God rarely gives us the entire blueprint. He usually gives us enough light for the next step. If he showed us everything at once, we'd probably be overwhelmed. I don't want to know everything that's going to happen in the future right now. I don't think I could handle it. So instead, he asks us to trust him one step at a time. If you can only do one job today, that's take the next step. Can you do that? Not the next 10, not the next year, not the next month worth of steps, not after you've figured everything out. But today, just take one step in the direction of the future in the thing that you're trying to do today. And then another tomorrow. And then another. And that's how dreams are built. That's how we become successful. That's how we become confident. One of my favorite things about Scripture is often God tells his people not to be afraid. 365 times he tells us that. He doesn't say, you'll never feel fear. He says, do not fear, for I am with you. The promise isn't that life will be easy. The promise is that we won't walk through it alone. Fear says you're here by yourself. And faith says, God is right there with you. Fear says, what if you fail? Faith says, even if I stumble, God will never leave me. Fear focuses on everything that might happen, that could possibly go wrong. And faith focuses on the one who already knows what will happen. And that changes everything. Now, I know this isn't the faith episode, but it's important to me to put this in here today. One of my favorite Bible verses is Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. If you have a dream in your heart, if God has called you to do it, he will walk you through it. Every time. And you got to be the person who cheers the loudest. There may be seasons when no one understands your dream. I've been there. Some people won't see your vision, and that's okay. They don't have to. Some people won't celebrate your growth, and some people may even question why you're trying, and that's okay. You don't need permission to become who you were created to be. You don't need everyone's approval to pursue your purpose. In fact, you really don't need anyone's. Cheer for yourself. Celebrate for yourself. Speak life of abundance over yourself. Not because you've already arrived, but because you're becoming, because you're taking the steps, because you're building the habits and the consistency. Every workout matters. Every page you write matters. Every healthy meal matters. Every prayer matters. Every next step matters. Every act of courage matters. Don't wait until you've crossed the finish line to be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself for refusing to quit, even when it doesn't make sense. So your challenge this week is this. Before you go to bed every night, I want you to answer 2 questions for yourself. What did I do today that scared me? Maybe it was speaking up or making a phone call, going to the gym, applying for the job, having a difficult conversation, speaking up for yourself. Maybe your victory was simply getting out of bed on a hard day. Now the second question, why am I proud of myself for doing it anyway? Write down the sentence, just one, that's it. Why am I proud of myself for doing that thing that was hard anyway. Over time, you'll begin training your brain to notice courage instead of perfection. You'll stop measuring your worth by outcomes and start measuring it by faithfulness, being faithful and committed to yourself. It's the best thing you can do is be true to yourself. Be true to those commitments you make to yourself. Show up, because success isn't always found in winning. Sometimes success is simply found in showing up. If you've been waiting for a sign to keep going, let this be it. Take the next step. Have the conversation. Make the phone call. Write the first page. Record the podcast. Submit the application. Start the workout. Say yes to healing. Do not wait until fear disappears. Walk forward anyway. Just keep moving forward. One foot in front of the other, one step at a time. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it. If today's episode encouraged you, I would love for you to share it with someone who may need this message too. Like, follow, and share. You can follow me on Facebook at Life by Design Press, Instagram at Angela Weiss Author, LinkedIn Angela Weiss, or I'll put my author website in the show notes. If you feel like you're in a crisis with your mental health, if you're in the United States or Canada, please call 911 or 988, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. The information shared on this podcast is for education and for informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace medical or mental health care. Listening to this podcast does not establish a provider-patient relationship. Please consult your own healthcare provider regarding your specific medical or mental health concerns. Thank you so much for showing up today. Again, please like, follow, and share for more.